So how I got connected to music was pretty much my parents. They and my dad specifically. You know, I grew up with the standard top 40 hits, the Beatles, the Beach Boys, Creedence Clearwater, all those things. And well, then I kind of developed, kind of became a metalhead. I even though I liked metal and then I loved hard music, I still loved the melody of like the Beach Boys and stuff, and the harmonies and everything else like that. So really, I'm a metalhead at heart, but I really enjoy a good pop song as well. As far as an artist and who's my biggest influence as a musical artist would be Peter Gabriel, basically because I think he stayed true to what he wants to do, and he's done it. And he not only takes music, but he also takes theater and everything else and encompasses it all, and he's just well-rounded as an artist. So Peter Gabriel is my number one artist in the music field. But as far as the second category with just good songwriters that kill it, like I said, I like hard stuff and I like good melodies, so I'd have to break it down into three bands. The Galactic Cowboys, just because of their harmonies, King's X as well, and probably my favorite songwriter just because every song he writes is catchy and it drives me freaking nuts, and that would be Ginger Wildheart. So those are probably my biggest influences and my biggest, I'm a big fanboy of all those. So I started playing because, I play the ultimate rock instrument, a clarinet. So I started playing that when I was like 8 years old, and I started playing that through my high school and college days. As far as guitar and bass and stuff like that, I actually probably didn't pick those up until like I was in college. So, but my main interest was woodwind, and then I decided I want to be in a rock band, and clarinet wasn't happening, so I had to pick up a guitar and start playing. So that kind of stuff, 20-something, I started late on guitar and bass and stuff like that. So Gigglesnort Motel. I'll try to do the condensed version because I'm talking quite a bit. The Gigglesnort Motel is my band, quote unquote. It was first a attempt at a joke band like Spinal Tap, and I was going to put it up on social media and do fake tours, fake band members and everything. And so I had it sitting there. I hadn't done any music in a while. I hadn't recorded anything. I wasn't really in a band at that point. And so I decided to go ahead and write some stuff. And I was sitting on the stuff, and I was doing this fake Gigglesnort Motel thing. And it happened where I could get access to some free studio time. So I had some songs. I grabbed some musicians I knew in the area and said, "Hey, you want to do an album?" And they're like, "Okay." And I'm like, "You're not going to get paid." And they were still stupid enough to say, "Okay." So we went to the studio and we recorded an album under the title Gigglesnort Motel. And just for the record, the Gigglesnort Motel is a name that was based off a kid show that I watched when I was living in Chicago called the Gigglesnort Hotel. So I named it the Gigglesnort Motel, and hopefully I won't get sued. So there. When the project was first brought to me, I kind of scratched my head at it because I really, you do certain things and people bring certain things to you and you really don't get a picture of it yet, and you're like, what is this? Because it's not something I had done before. So this is because I usually work, every artist kind of works a certain way, or they do, you write a certain way, you do this a certain way, and that was kind of something that was brand new to me, and it took me I remember the first couple of meetings I had with Jay, I was kind of trying to wrap my head around what exactly is this. So I guess when I first heard about the project, I was slightly confused, but that's okay. I'm confused a lot. First of all, I'm kind of a control freak, so when it comes to music, I'm kind of governing where it goes as far as melody and structure and all this other kind of junk. So when he brought it to me, it was kind of backwards for me because it was written a different way. It was kind of brought to me already established, and we're kind of do it this way, and here's what I'm going to play. And so I kind of had to make things work around what was already there. So it was weird to me because I do things in my mind 1, 2, 3, and that was kind of brought to me 3, 2, 1. So it was backwards for me. So it was kind of a little bit of a challenge. Actually, It really didn't. Once we kind of sat down and figured out the direction, and Jay gave me his notes on what he wanted. It really didn't evolve per se. I mean, in art, whatever you do evolves. It changes. I mean, you add a certain sound and it changes the landscape of what you're doing, or it changes the mood. But yeah, it didn't evolve any drastic way. It just evolved as a natural progression of just creativity. Well, I guess I would describe it pretty much not as a musical album, but as a radio drama. Because as a kid, I grew up listening to recordings of, I mean, I wasn't around when they originally played, but I had LPs, that ages me, right? I had LPs of like the old suspense radio program, Lights Out, The Whistler, The Shadow, all those kind of, mainly horror, which was good, mainly for this kind of thing, but mainly horror radio dramas. So when Jay communicated that idea of what he wanted to do, I didn't really look at it as we're composing songs. I really looked at it as we're composing a radio drama where you sit down and you're just getting in the mood of the atmosphere of the book and not necessarily listening to a catchy tune you'll hum later. You just want to convey a sense of dread or kind of quirkiness or whatever, but it isn't about songs. It's about getting into the environment of the book that Jay's created. My favorite one was the Undead Dinner Bell, just because when Jay presented everything, I looked at the scripts for each one, and then was like, that one makes sense, that one makes sense, that one makes sense. The Undead Dinner Bell, I'm confused. So that was awesome, because and that's how it usually works, is the one you're scratching your head at. When you put it all together, it starts coming together, you're like, oh yeah, this is what it's supposed to sound like. So when we got it all together, yeah, it just ended up being cool. And as far as, once again, a mood piece for the book, I thought it really set the tone for, I guess, a certain scene. And it wasn't, as with some stuff in the zombie field, it was like you assume it's scary and really, really depressing and stuff. And that track was like really quirky. And I just thought there was like a sense of, I don't know, a whimsy to it almost. It was just weird. And that's why when it came out, it was like, I can see people listening to that going, what is this? And that's what I kind of like. So that was my favorite one. Oh, well, it's the same one. Undead Dinner Bell. Just because, once again, it was just a weird track, and we were just kind of in. The other ones were, we just recorded, we got it recorded, and this one had just bits and pieces of different things going. When you listen to it, you can't tell, but there's all these things going on in that one that are just like trying to get them to all mesh together, and sometimes getting them not to mesh together on purpose. So yeah, that was Undead Dinner Bell. They were just as confused as me. I remember Colin, one guy in particular, and I was trying to explain it to him, and I think when I explained it to him, there was just a pause. It was like, it really isn't a song, but you have to play on it. But I can pay you, because he used to play in the Gigglesnort Motel. But I can pay you. But yeah, they were just as confused as me. But once again, it was cool because anybody that came in, I know everybody scratched their heads at that. But when they came in and did it, they're just like, oh, this is pretty neat. So yeah, it was cool. I don't think there's anything unusual about it. So you're dealing with, you're becoming a Foley artist and doing sound effects. I mean, that's what you're doing. I mean, you're recording. I had James was playing drums in one of the tracks, and he's playing the drums, and I'm behind him kicking stools over and stuff. So it's just trying to get into the environment of trying to make the racket that you need to make it sound like you're really in that place. So nothing out of the ordinary, but once again, with that kind of environment, pretty much everything's out of the ordinary. You just get used to it. I would like to go with more musical mashups. We're pretty linear as far as styles go, like folk music or whatever, just acoustic. In the future, when we're able to kind of get more advanced with the projects, and now we know what we're doing, this time around. I think I want to do more musical mashups, get more musicians in, get bigger production as far as like full bands and stuff like that, and just try to mix up styles, try to find more diverse instruments, like, maybe put some bagpipes in, or just some strange stuff to make it seem even more quirkier. What am I most proud of? That it's done, that I finished it. I mean, basically the songs are like glorified demos. They're supposed to be recorded in the field. They're not supposed to sound good. So I guess I'm proud of the fact that we went in there and made something that sounded like crap. But we made it sound like crap on purpose, and that was the point. And it was hard to try to find the fine line between being able to hear it and understand it and still make it sound like junk. And so I guess I'm proud of the fact that I made it sound like good crap. So on that note, I guess that's what I'm proud of. Hey, so please go out there on Amazon, iTunes, or whatever, and pick up The Sound May Suffer, listen to the CD, or read the book first and listen to the CD and kind of get it all gelling together, because I'm sure Jay would greatly appreciate it. I'm not making any money off of the actual selling of it, so I'm just doing this as a freebie. But anyway, purchase it. Thanks.